Hello and welcome back to Ravenstorm Studios, and today I will be reading The Bakery Rule by Of Shadows and Wolves on AO3. And it's another fanfiction for Elsewhere University. It's also another shorter one, though it is a bit longer than the last one I read. So without further ado, let's begin. There are many rules at Elsewhere. Some of them are obvious, others mundane, some downright bizarre, even for a school on a fairy hill. Always carry iron around your neck and in your ears. Keep salt packets in your pockets and in your shoes. Brand your fingers with silver if you want to see, or trade a few cat toes to cat eyes for a less painful and impermanent option. Carry food around for the crows and for the cats. Never accept a deal unless your need is dire and all aspects of the deal are fair. And just accept that you're going to get screwed over in the end. But the most not understood rule was about the bakeries on campus. There were two of them in total, one not in the library, and one on the very edge of the quad. Sometimes anyways. Other times it was near the pool or by the fountain. That also moved around a lot. Or sometimes even actually in the young and old oak tree at the center of campus. They were what students started calling twilight zones, not because they were scarier than other parts of the campus. Nothing on Earth can be scarier than the horde of shadow trolls under the computer labs, or the weird things that sometimes pulled themselves from the pool when the moon was waxing, but because of how normal it was. Food was given freely most times, or in exchange for mortal cash, and there were no special additives or curses, well, except for the caffeine that actually woke you up, but no one was complaining about that. And the muffins that were honestly like a safer version of crack. To add on to that bizarre fact, there was no fighting in the bakeries. There would be no deals, no steals, nothing that would cause anyone or anything harm. Hell, even the gentry understood and followed this rule. The bakeries were places where everyone could meet. Gentry sat with science majors and broke bread together. Sometimes the bread would literally break. Not like normal bread, more like the way glass or ceramics would break. Pixies and fairies met and talked about age-old arguments or battles over steaming drinks of something red that was definitely, totally, hopefully not blood. And even the bookworms stopped by sometimes and ate off some of their extra menus that the staff had lying around. Speaking of the staff, there was something off about them. Not off like the cat with too many eyes, or the girl that got along with the crows, just a little too well. Or even the black thing that roamed the campus, giving teeth in exchange for plastic beads. They were not human. Their hair was normal, regular browns and blacks and blondes. They looked glazed, but in no different than any of the students during finals. They had the right number of teeth and 2 nostrils, and a mouth that opened up in the right way, but something was still off about them. They looked a bit too normal. Well, normal in the way a porcelain doll looked normal. I.e., hellishly so. Everything about them was just a little too well done. All their movements were too mechanical, that some believed that they were robots or automatons. Some of the science majors sneaked in the metal detector, but it never went off around them. Their smiles were some of the most unnerving, though. Perfectly straight teeth that practically glowed with health, but it never really spread to those painted-on eyes. There was one tale about some unfortunate soul who broke this blessed place. A boy who was angry at a gentry who had stolen his beloved from his arms while they were sleeping together one night. It was on this unfortunate day that the gentry, a crystalline being with eyes that may have been slanted like a goat's, No one could look at their eyes for longer than a moment before they started frothing at the mouth and spitting out gibberish words. Was seated right out in the open, chatting to a very terrified-looking student who clutched a salt packet with all the force in his very tiny body. The boy stormed up to the gentry with a serrated knife clutched in his fist. It wasn't quite serrated, though. No, could possibly have serrated teeth that actually seemed to bite, and pure and unresolved hatred in his alabaster eyes. He threatened and raged at the Fae, and in turn the fairy, for it was in fact a fairy. Anyone with any sense could see that, of course, because of the wing-like indents on their back, and had a very strong one at that. Pulled their hands into spiked fists, and hissed in a tongue that shattered all the glass in the building. But before either of them could act out on their threats, one of the Brewsters stepped forward, and without a single warning, ripped both of their throats straight off their bodies, making their heads topple slowly to the floor. In one fist, ruby-red blood dripped on their arm, and on the other, liquid diamonds carved rivers down their fist. Both of the bakeries were closed after that for a very long time. They didn't open again until the 90s, though no one knew for sure which century this particular 90s was in, since no one dared to upset the place or the Brewsters. Anyone who even tried was swiftly taken care of by either a gentry or a very sleep-deprived student. And that is the end of this fanfiction. It's actually in a series, so if you'd like me to read more of those in the future, then just pop that down in the comments. And that's all. Bye!